Hi! I finally figured out how to use my webcam so that I can actually make videos now instead of using quick capture. Yay! Videos! Woohoo! Okay, anyway, so here is Denominations of Buddhism, okay? There are three types. Some schools say two, but what I have written down is that there's three. And the first one is Theravada. It's also known as Hinayana, and this is known as small vehicle Buddhism. And what Theravada is it's the oldest form of Buddhism. It's closer to the original core teachings of the Buddha, like his Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Paths, that sort of thing. It's plain vanilla Buddhism. There's not, they just have the original teachings. And their belief is that enlightenment comes from experience and critical thinking and reasoning skills. And it's unlikely that a lay person can reach enlightenment on their own. Monks are far more likely to reach enlightenment because they meditate, which helps them reach enlightenment. This is according to Theravada. Mahayana is a blanket term for most other non-Theravada forms of Buddhism. Most Buddhists fall under this category. Mahayana is also known as Great Vehicle Buddhism. Their general beliefs are that anyone can become a Buddha, or Buddhas, and the main forms of Mahayana Buddhism are Pure Land, which is kind of like a Christian Buddhism. Amitabha was a monk who attained enlightenment a long time ago, and he made Pure Land. And Pure Land is basically this place that cannot be reached here on earth. It's a perfect place. I guess it's kind of like heaven. And practitioners who call upon the name of Amitabha may as many as like 10 times a day or 10 times in their life can be reborn in the Pure Land to receive further instruction, to return to our world as a bodhisattva, which I'll explain in a little bit after they die. A bodhisattva is a person who has attained enlightenment, but rather than end the cycle of rebirth and move on to whatever comes after, they have chosen to stay here in the world and help others learn the truth and become enlightened, aka His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He's considered a bodhisattva. They give up their own nirvana to help others. Attaining enlightenment on one's own is extremely difficult and may be almost impossible. And it's much easier to reach with the help of Amitabha Buddha. So basically, Amitabha leaves his practitioners to the Pure Land, which and then they gain enlightenment. They chant or repeat Nambusi Namo Amitabhusu, or I trust in the Buddha of immeasurable light. They chant over and over and over hundreds of times. And then there is Tantric or Vajrayana Buddhism, aka Mantrayana, also known as Diamond Vehicle. And this is a lot more mystic, sometimes referred to as a third major form of Buddhism alongside Theravada and Mahayana. It uses tantras, which are an accumulation of practices and ideas, which has among its characteristics the use of ritual, energy work, the use of various tools at their disposal like yoga, visualization of deities, mantras, the use of mundane to access the supermundane, the identification of microcosm and macrocosm. The tantric practitioner seeks to use the divine power that flows through the universe, including their own body, to obtain purposeful goals. And these purposeful goals are like spiritual, material, or both. And the tantric practitioner considers mystical experience or guidance of a guru imperative. And identification, internalization of divine is enacted. It's heavily influenced by Hinduism, and Hinduism is, gods, deities, rituals, guru, student, lineage. Um, the identification or internalization of divine is basically person becomes deity. I guess it would be basically kind of like Amma in a way, but not. So basically this person becomes a deity. And then there's Tibetan Buddhism, which uses tantras, and there's 4 steps, although I only have 3 written down. And they work on individuals' personal ego, spiritual self, and personal truth. Although with Tibetan Buddhism, I've seen them, performing, or I've read about them performing pujas, and, using a bell and dorji, and using mantras and malas, and all sorts of stuff. So I guess it depends on what you're and how you want it and everything. But there are 2 different, well, they're called hats, and they wear hats. There's red hat and yellow hat. And yellow hat is what the Dalai Lama is. And the only difference between red hat and yellow hat is the lineage. That's it. And then there's Zen Buddhism, which is teachings of Buddha have been handed down from teacher to student as a lineage. It's known as a lineage tradition. There is a master who has a student, and the student is basically observant, and he observes and learns at the master's feet. It's a one-to-one transmission of the teachings. Same teaching is handed down in a long, unbroken line, aka lineage. Master-student becomes master, and then the student that became the master gets a student, etc. for generations. Okay. In 475 BC, the Buddha Dharma had come about. It went to China and became Chan Buddhism, and then it went to Japan and became Zen Buddhism. And Zen emphasizes the Dharma practice and experiential, like their experience wisdom, and their meditation, also known as Zazen practice. And Zazen is the attainment of awakening. But it de-emphasizes both theatrical knowledge and the study of religious texts in favor of direct individual assessment of one's individual experience. And then they have koans, and koans are basically tales or ideas that, when meditated upon and considered, may lead to enlightenment. It's very intuitive and individualized. You got to know yourself. Zazen, sitting, clearing the mind of all thought, meditate. They prefer to spend time meditating, experiencing life, and going about one's life. And if I remember right, I think that's all I have. Yeah, that's all I have as far as denominations. And so I hope you enjoy my video. I hope this is the last one I'll post today, because this is like number 3. So yeah, if you have any comments, concerns, questions, don't be afraid to email me. Talk to you later. Hope things are well.